a copy of the PowerPoint presentation as well as the recorded webinar after this is over. So here's today's agenda. We're going to have introductions, promoting the count. We'll talk about magnet events, locating targeted youth, steps to success, and then Christine Gendron will give an overview of incentive grant and then the training that T-Noise is offering. And there will be time for the question and answer, and then there will be information on the next webinar. So I'm Jennifer Paulson. I'm the Director of Development and Training for Texas Homeless Network, and I'll be facilitating today. And then Christine Gendron, the Executive Director with T-Noise, will give the overview of the grant and training and also be available for the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Okay, so where to start? So download the Youth Count Texas Toolkit from T-Noise's website. There are 5 sections. Section 1 is count planning. Section 2 is community outreach and partnerships. Section 3 is surveys and count implementation. 4 is volunteer training and debriefing. And Section 5 covers the resources to support a successful count. So if you haven't already, familiarize yourself with it and use it. They've put together a lot of great information for you. So get the word out. Use a logo and brand that TDHCA created for Youth Count Texas, and you can find the logo usage guidelines in Section 2 of the toolkit. And promote it. So, contact the media about the count. Assign someone to be the point person. So especially for the actual count day, like when they show up, they should have someone to talk to. Setting up a time for them to arrive will help minimize the chaos. So much is going on. We think we're going to keep it all together, and then someone shows up and we're thrown off. So having a set plan in place and someone to talk to will make it go that much more smooth. Identify a volunteer that has been a champion for the count, or perhaps a youth that has experienced homelessness, to talk to the media, and someone that will do a good job conveying the importance of a youth count. Use social media to raise awareness about the count, create a unique hashtag, and then hang posters in areas where youth congregate. So magnet events. The purpose of a magnet event is to attract the youth you want to count and survey. So advertise in drop-in centers and youth organizations. Bring posters to a COC or coalition meeting to distribute. Okay, and here is a sample of a poster that Youth Count Ohio put together. They had an online survey and several magnet events, so that's included on the poster. And you may think about having a youth help design it so it appeals to youth, or if you have someone on staff or a volunteer that is a designer, that take advantage of it. Okay, so things to consider when you are planning your magnet event. You want to consider the number of staff and volunteers that you will need to administer the survey, the location of the event, making sure it's in a safe location and one where youth will want to hang out. When scheduling your magnet event, check the events calendar so you aren't competing with something that would prevent volunteers or other youth to participate. And then set up policies and procedures for the event so everyone is on the same page. You know exactly, like if you're having an overnight event, what the process is, how you're keeping people safe, the staff that's going to be there, the timeline. Consider all of those things. Another thing is, how will youth get to the event? So if it's possible, arrange for transportation to and from the event, and then make sure that that part of it is advertised so they know. And ensure safety, especially if you are hosting an overnight event. At any time, really. Make sure you have a process for deployment that includes a list of targeted areas and assigned teams for each. So if you have a group of volunteers, you want to make sure that they know where they're going, how they're getting to the route, what route they're taking, and then when they should return. And dividing them up by teams is always a good idea. Okay, so during the event, plan to have food and something to drink, something that will keep the youth there. So have volunteers ask local businesses for donations. Of course, you'll want to have the surveys and plan to have activities that will attract and keep youth on site, such as movies, video games, things like that. Some good supplies to have are cots if you're planning an all-night event, clothing donations, backpacks with supplies, phone chargers, power strips so they can charge their phones. And these are supplies and things that other areas who have hosted these events before have provided. And they found them very useful. And then also using incentives either to attract the youth to volunteer or to take the survey can be very effective. So try to secure incentives through donations. Use your network of donors in your area. Social media is always a good way to request things like backpacks with supplies, gift cards to restaurants, things like that. And magnet events already provide these incentives. So you can, you want to gauge like what you're asking your audience or your donors to do to give to the day of or whatever. So the magnet event is one way of just rolling all of that in together. But not everyone's going to show up to the magnet event, so keep that in mind. Okay, so what ages are included? So although the Texas legislature has defined youth as under 19 years of age for the purpose of House Bill 679, you want to include all youth in the survey. And then the data will be extracted for the legislative report. So you won't have to think, okay, is this a 19-year-old? What do I need to do? Or is it someone who's 24? So locating youth that are living on the streets. So we know they can blend in or hide, so it's good to know where to look. Many street kids have issues with drugs and are at risk for sexual assault, trading sex for drugs, and or a place to stay, making them more susceptible to HIV and STIs, mental illness, and violence. Use this knowledge to target locations such as clinics and treatment programs, and also check WIC offices. So similar youth can help you identify where to find the youth you're looking to count. They'll also be able to tell you the best times to find them there. Consider who to include on search teams. So the police may be a good choice, but will they end up scaring them away? And you'll know your community better and that kind of relationship with different service providers in the area. So an outreach worker will most likely have a better rapport with them. But, you may have police that are involved and actually do have a good rapport as well. Who else can help locate them? Youth center staff may also be able to help, as well as staff of soup kitchens. Check with clinics, juvenile justice programs, and foster care staff. So think about the services that they would access in your area. And then pregnant and parenting teens. So according to SAMHSA's Homelessness Resource Center, pregnancy rates among young women who are homeless are significantly higher than rates among housed young women in the U.S. A sample study found that a third of the participants with children in their care met criteria for lifetime major depressive episode, lifetime post-traumatic stress disorder, and lifetime drug abuse. Along with family shelters, transitional housing programs, DV shelters, and group homes for pregnant teens and or adults, also consider substance abuse treatment programs. And then work with staff of shelters and benefits agencies. So these are heartbreaking statistics, and you can use them in your message to the public. And, this is why we want a count like this, and we want to find and be able to help provide services so these kids, and they are children, having children are not exposed to all of these things and don't have to endure it. Other target populations include couch surfers, those staying in a motel or hotel, the shelter, or other precarious and unstable living situations. Okay, so steps to success. If you haven't already, contact your local youth service providers now and keep them involved throughout the process. So use the Developing Partnerships information in the toolkit as a resource, and you'll find a list of providers in your area to engage. Put in place a process such as a plan on how teams will divide up to prevent duplication or at least reduce it. So think about your paths, your routes, things like that will help. Establish roles so your partners know what is expected of each of you, and use each other's strengths. And then use the T-Noise volunteer training in section 4 of the toolkit and customize it for your volunteers. Okay, so now I'm going to unmute Christine so she can give an overview of the grant and the training that T-Noise is providing to the priority cities. So Christine, you're unmuted.
Okay, thank you. So there are a couple of different resources and tools that T-Noise is offering through our contract with TDHCA to help ensure that these counts are successful. One of those is the toolkit, which hopefully everybody has seen by now. It is available on the T-Noise website, and we have sent information out about it to our Youth Count Texas email list. If you haven't seen it, then please get in touch with me or with Jennifer or with April, and we can point you in that direction. One of the resources that's in the toolkit is a training curriculum to train your count volunteers. And the training curriculum covers a range of content from how do you administer this specific survey to how do you do a count in general. So topics like how volunteers can make sure they stay safe, what to expect if they haven't done a count before, and then also topics that are specific to a youth count, such as how to build rapport with a young person, encourage them to answer your questions, that kind of thing. We know that you all have different levels of experience with doing counts. Some of you may have volunteer training curriculums already, and that's fine. If you have something that you want to use, or if maybe you want to use a portion of ours. Some of you may be starting something from scratch, and so hopefully these tools will especially be useful to you. We are willing to go to your city and provide the training for your volunteers in person if that's something that you want. It's of course not a requirement. We are also recording it into a webinar format. We'll be doing that later today, and it'll be up on our website within the next couple of weeks. So that's an option as well, something that you can watch as you're preparing for training your volunteers, or something that you can make available to them if they're not available to attend an in-person training, really however you want to do it. But our goal is just to provide as much support as we can, because we know that this is a pretty big job to plan and implement one of these counts. So if you are interested in the training, please let us know. You do not have to be a priority city. We are offering it to other cities that are doing counts. There is a limited number of training workshops that we'll be able to do, especially since these will all probably be happening within the same week or two span in January. So it will be something that we'll offer on a first come, first served basis. So if you think you might be interested, please let us know as soon as you can so that we can start looking at dates and get you on the calendar. Otherwise, just feel free to use our tools to do your own training however you see fit. So then the other big resource that we're offering is potentially a $2,000 grant. These funds can be used to support, to cover costs associated with your magnet event. They could be used to cover costs for survey incentives. So maybe you want to give a gift card or a bus pass to every youth who is surveyed. They can also be used to pay youth, including youth who are homeless, to work as partners with you guys in the planning and implementation of these counts. It's really up to you how you want to use these funds. In order to get them to you, we will need you to sign an agreement with TNOIS, and we will need you to send us a report on how you spend the funds. And that's really because of our contract with TDHCA. The report on how you spend the funds can be pretty general. So TDHCA is allowing us to just have you guys list categories as far as how you spent the money. So you don't need to go into really specific detail, but we need to know, was it used to support your magnet event, or was it used for survey incentives, that kind of thing. And that just helps us all know that the funds were in fact used for Youth Count Texas. But anyway, so we have a deadline for you to sign up for those funds. That deadline is December 18th. Right now, those funds are only available to priority cities. If you are doing a youth count and you're not in a priority city, please also reach out and let us know. Because if a priority city does not go after the funds, then we can potentially distribute them to someone else. We also have other funds. It wouldn't be as much as $2,000, but we have some other funds that we could potentially give to you to pay youth to be involved in these counts. So again, even if you're not a priority city, please get in touch with us and just let us know what your plans are and what kind of support you need. So Jennifer, I think that's it, unless anybody has a question.
So what I'm going to do if, so now it is question time. So any questions anyone has, you can type them into the questions box. And I'll let Christine answer, or I can answer if they're for me. And it doesn't look like anyone has a question. All right, well, if that is it, you can also follow up with a question. You can email me or Christine, or I can always forward it as well if it's easier. And I will send out the copy of the recording and the PowerPoint presentation. And with that, and the webinar for next week, which is next Wednesday at 10 a.m., so the same time. So I'll send you more details on that, along with the copy of this PowerPoint and the copy of the recording. Oh, here is one question, right in the nick of time. Okay, now we're getting some more questions, Christine. So let me get.
Okay, I'm not able to see the questions, so maybe if you can ask them, I can help answer.
Okay, yes. So has anyone done a magnet event with their school district? And not that I know of. And I'll check on the magnet event. I think
that's a really good question.
Yeah, I wonder if other states have done that. So I'll do some research and find out. How many COCs are doing a standalone pit for youth? So Christine, I think you may know, but I think we're still trying to find that out. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we're still, I think we've heard from about half, and they are all doing a count, the ones that we've heard from. That's my understanding, but we are still waiting to hear from others.
Okay. Next question. What are some examples of magnet events other cities have held, and where did they hold them? Again, I can research that.
I can talk about Austin's magnet event.
Oh, right. Yeah, great. Okay, please do.
Okay, so Austin did a youth count in October. LifeWorks, the youth service agency here, partnered with ECHO, the COC for Austin, and they worked together to plan and implement a count. They, their magnet event, since the count was in October, near Halloween, their magnet event was a Halloween-themed carnival. They had it outside of the building that houses the LifeWorks Street Outreach Program, and that is an area of town where there are a lot of homeless youth who just kind of hang out and hang around. It's also an area of town where where a lot of other youth like to go and hang out because it's near UT campus, and there are a lot of restaurants and coffee shops and parks and festivals that go on and that kind of stuff. I know that they thought it was a pretty successful event. They brought in like carnival games. They had a lot of volunteers to help staff it. They had like prizes and incentives that they gave out to the youth who attended. And then I think Montgomery County Youth Services and Angel Reach and United Way in Montgomery County partnered on a youth count over the summer. And I believe they also did a carnival outside, and that worked well for them. These events don't have to be carnivals, but that seems to be what has been done in Texas, at least recently, and they're working well. Obviously, the weather will be different in January, and so that might change things.
Yes, so probably providing like hot drinks and warm stuff to do that's warm. Okay, next question. What is the timeline for non-priority cities to ask for funds for the youth count?
That's a good question. The sooner that you get in touch with us, the better. Since the deadline for the priority cities to let us know is December 18th, we should have a good grasp of who from the priority cities needs funds by the 18th, and then what's potentially left over. And so I think we should be able to get that all worked out before the holidays. But the sooner that you let us know, the better.
Okay. And let me see, I think that was the last question. Okay, well then, thank you, Christine. Thank you, everyone. And with that, we will end the webinar and send out the information. And please contact us if you have any additional questions that you think of after we close out.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.